If I have no brain cells this entire video, it's not my fault. I just finished Zodiac Academy. It was 9 whole books long. Well, I guess 10, because I read 8.5. We're going to talk all things Zodiac Academy today. The first half of this video is going to be entirely spoiler free. So if you're wondering, should I read this series that everyone won't shut up about? It's very intimidating. I don't know where to start. All of that nonsense, okay? This video is for you. So the first half is going to be spoiler free. If you want to hear just my thoughts on the books, I'm going to put a timestamp right now to let you know where to skip to. And then once you get to that timestamp, there's going to be spoilers from that point forward. But again, the first half, no spoilers. We are going to talk about a plot summary, who I think would enjoy this book, what order I read in, what order I would recommend, all that jazz. So let's get into it. Let's talk general plot summary. Zodiac Academy takes place in both the mortal world, like the regular world that we know it as, and Solaria, which is the Fae realm. Both human and Fae exist, essentially. And you're going to hear Fae talking about Taylor Swift, and you're going to be like, this feels odd. And it is. Our main characters are identical twins, Tori and Darcy. They've been living in foster care their entire life. They never knew their parents. They're basically barely scraping by in regular life. Like, they have no money. They sleep on a pull-out couch together. Actually, I don't even know if it was a pull-out couch. It might have just been a couch. They never knew their parents. That's the life that they were living. Darcy is kind of the more gentle twin, like more personable, whereas Tori is kind of more intense, more like the protector, I guess, between the two of them. So at the very beginning of the story, The Awakening, which is book 1, you find out that they are actually Fae, and that they're supposed to be living in this magical Fae realm called Solaria. They also very quickly learn that their parents, that they never knew, are the deceased savage king and queen of Solaria that were supposed to be ruling but ended up dying, and that they were technically supposed to take the throne. They are next in line to the throne. When they arrive in Solaria, they're enrolled in Zodiac Academy. That's the title of the book. So they can learn to harness their powers that they were supposed to have. So basically how this magic system works is that each Fae has like an element that they're able to wield. Air, earth, fire, water. Most Fae have 1. The powerful ones have 2, maybe 3. No one has ever possessed all 4 except for like one random person that isn't relevant to the story. Except for Tori and Darcy. You fucking guessed it. Tori and Darcy learn that they possess all 4 elements right away and are basically extremely powerful. Because of course, since the Savage King and his queen died, the people that have been ruling the kingdom are called the Celestial Council. There's one representative for each element. So like there's the fire guy, the air guy, the water guy, the earth guy. And they each have heirs that are supposed to take their spot eventually. When Tori and Darcy get to Zodiac Academy, they very quickly meet these 4 heirs. We have Seth. He's the heir. 2 words. One starts with an H. We meet Caleb. He's the Terra heir. Earth heir. We meet Max, he's the Aqua heir, and we meet Darius, who is the Fire heir. And the story is basically Tori and Darcy learning to navigate their new life and basically trying not to get fucking killed by these 4 heirs, because they do not want them to take the throne. Because right now those 4 heirs are in line to take the throne. Tori and Darcy don't even want it, but these heirs don't care. They're just going to make their life a living hell to make sure that they don't make it through Academy and that they don't become the true queens. So that is where our story takes place. That's kind of the general plot of the first book. So who should read this series? You should read this series if you loved the Empyrean series and wished it was longer. This is a similar vibe because it's kind of like it's not necessarily a war college like Bagsgate was, but it is a college preparing them to use their magic. In that sense, if you like the college environment, like the academy setting, you're gonna love this book. If you like trials in your fantasy books, Tori and Darcy go through a lot of different trials as they're learning their magic and navigating the new world that they're in. If you like shifters, everyone in the Solaria universe, they have different orders. They're called orders that they shift into. So like there's werewolves, there's vampires, there's dragons, etc. So if you love a Fae man that can turn into a dragon at the drop of a hat, there you go. If you enjoy spice with your fantasy books, the first book has like nothing in it pretty much. It gets spicier as it goes on. There isn't very heavy spice until I would say book 3, and then it really picks up a lot. If you like the following tropes, enemies to lovers, the enemies to lovers in this series puts all other enemies to lovers you've ever read to shame. This is the most intense enemies to lovers I have ever read. So enemies to lovers, friends to lovers, forbidden romance, professor and student relationships, but like ethically. And I know that sounds weird to say because there isn't technically an ethical way to do it, but like you'll see what I mean. Fated mates and bully romance. If you like those tropes in your books, I think you're gonna like this series. You should not read this series if you get easily cringed out by writing and you don't like cheesy stuff. There are definitely some cringy and cheesy elements of this whole story and this whole universe, but I really do think that the plot makes it so worth it. It's just so worth it. If you can't stand a bully romance, and truly, I thought I couldn't handle it. Like when I first started this series, I was like, this is insane. So I was like, I don't think I can do this. And I did end up loving it. If you don't like bully romances though, and you think you're gonna read this and you're like, I just can't, maybe this isn't for you, but that was me and I got past it. If you are not ready to fucking commit, this book is 9 books just in the main series alone, and there are so many other like novellas and prequels and blah blah blah. Like there is so much. Even if you're just reading the main series, the main 9 books, you're reading like 800 to 1,000 pages the further you get into it. It's crazy. I do think it was too long. I also think if you are committed to reading this series, you need Kindle Unlimited. They're all on Kindle Unlimited. If you don't have Kindle Unlimited, you are going to go broke. I only bought book 9, $40. I was irate. I don't know. I was so angry. I was like, why is this so expensive? Kindle Unlimited makes it worth it because all the books are on there for free. I know it's not technically free, but it's free in my mind. Next thing we're going to talk about is the reading order. This is very highly contested online. I am going to give you the recommended reading order. This is one that I found from her TikTok handle is That Girl Reads. This is full credit to her. This is the order she said to do it, and she gives great reasons as to why, so you should check that out. But her order is as follows. So you read Zodiac Academy 1, 2, and 3. After you finish Zodiac Academy 3, you then transition into the prequel series, which is Ruthless Boys of the Zodiac. So you read that entire prequel series, and then you go back to Zodiac Academy 4. The reason you read the prequel series at this point is because a character is introduced, and I'm not going to spoil anything, I'm just going to tell you his name, Gabriel. Gabriel is a very prominent character in Ruthless Boys of the Zodiac and in Zodiac Academy from this point forward, and it was nice to have a little bit of background on him, instead of just being like, who the fuck is this guy and where did he come from? There are a lot of characters from the prequel series that will show up in the later books of Zodiac Academy. If you're ever planning on reading the prequel series, you're going to get it spoiled for you if you continue to read. That's what I'll say. After Zodiac Academy 4, Shadow Princess, I put optional because I didn't read any of the novellas, although I guess 8.5 counts as a novella, but whatever. Zodiac Academy 1.5 is The Awakening as Told by the Boys, and then 0.5 Origins of an Academy Bully. That Girl Reads says to read that after Zodiac Academy 4. Then you read Zodiac Academy 5, Cursed Fates. And then there's 2 more novellas at this point. Again, I put this as optional. Zodiac Academy 5.5, The Big ASS Party. And then 5.6, Seth on the Moon. Then you read Zodiac Academy 6, 7. And then when you get to Zodiac Academy 8, Sorrow and Starlight. There's also 8.5, Beyond the Veil. I tandem read these books. I found a guide online that kind of showed how to correctly tandem read these books, and I would very highly recommend that. I think tandem reads are a pain in the ass, and I will avoid them if I can. I truly think in this series specifically, the tandem read is low-key necessary because things that happen in 8.5 directly correspond and affect things that happen in 8. Things will happen in book 8 that have seemingly no consequence or no explanation, and then the tandem read will allow you to read a chapter in 8.5 that directly explains why something happened. I think that reading 8.5 by itself would have been so boring, and I don't know if I would have done it, but I think it's necessary. There's a lot of stuff that happens in it that I'm like, I don't know how you get this information if you don't read this book. Honestly, I hate calling it a novella too, because it's like 400 fucking pages. Okay, it's a book. Don't piss me off. So then you read, after 8.5, Jamie recommends reading Live and Let Lionel. It's another novella. And then you read Zodiac Academy 9. So that is the suggested reading order according to someone who has read the entire universe and like knows the best way to read it. So you should trust her above all else. Now, let's talk about my own reading order because I did it pretty unconventionally. I want to start by saying I did not read the novellas. I can't speak to how much they add to the series. That is something that you should check out Jamie's channel for. Prequel. At this point, have read the first 2 books of the prequel. I kind of did not, well, no, not kind of. I did not read them in the order suggested. I started to read Dark Fae, which is the Ruthless Boys of the Zodiac book 1, the prequel. I started to read that after book 3 of Zodiac Academy, like is suggested. I got about 100 pages in, so I got a good foundation of the new characters that were getting introduced. Like I knew who they were and I knew a little bit about like their background. And I'm glad I did that, especially as you get later in the series. I started to feel very confused. I was like, wait, who are these people? What is the background here? Like, is there some piece of lore that I'm supposed to understand? Because I don't. I got to book 7 of Zodiac Academy, and that's when I was like, okay, I need to finish the fucking prequel series. So I read 1 and 2, but then I just finished Zodiac Academy because I couldn't help myself. I think parts of the story would have been more enjoyable if I had more context for some of the characters. I don't think it's entirely necessary, but I still would recommend doing it that way. Okay, so that concludes the spoiler-free portion of this video. So this is your warning that I'm going to talk about all the different books now. So if you don't want to hear about my spoiler-filled thoughts on each of the books, I would turn this off. Okay, so for every book, I did something called a bitch boy ranking. I described the 4 heirs and I tacked Orion on in there as the little bitch boys. Because that's what they are at their core. They were little fucking bitches the whole time. So with every book I did a little bitch boy ranking. I did my favorite and my least favorite, and I'm going to tell you my thoughts for each of the books now at that point. So book 1, The Awakening. When I tell you, I have never hated men more than I hated these fucking heirs. It made me realize I hate a bully romance, and because the plot was so good of this book, I was like, I'll push through, but I was like, I'm gonna rip my hair out. I'm so fucking angry. So my bitch boys. My favorite during book 1, when I finished book 1, was probably Caleb, but he was still a spineless little fuck, so I still hated him, but he was just the least awful. But the bar's on the floor. My least favorite was Seth, which is crazy when we get to the end of the series. But for the beginning, Seth was so immature and fucking ruthless, more than the others. I hated how immature he was, and they were all immature, but Seth was just, he drove me nuts. He drove me absolutely nuts. The other note I wrote about book 1, the guardian bond that Orion and Darius had, having a sexual component, like now reflecting back on the books, I'm like, that was just weird. Like, that did not need to happen. But it especially made the later guardian bonds, I was like, come on. Like, it just, I just felt like it wasn't necessary. Like, why were Darius and Orion about to fuck? Like, that's crazy. Book 2, this was Ruthless Fae. Starting with our favorite and least favorite bitch boys. My least favorite was Seth. Again, it was way too much. Constantly. The rest had been slightly redeemed by this point. I still hated him, but Seth was just like a monster. I hated him so much. My favorite was Caleb, because we get his POV for the first time in this book, and we learn that he's not particularly happy with what they have to do to Tori and Darcy, but still he's spineless and I hate him. I loved the revenge plot in this book. I loved that the girls were finally getting revenge, and we kind of hear their internal dialogue of like starting to feel guilty about getting revenge and then being like, oh wait, I forgot they fucking attempted to murder us. Totally forgot. I think I was supposed to like Darius more than I did at the end of this book because of his dad. This is where Lionel starts to shine in a bad way, but I still didn't like him. And I put, if therapy exists in this world, Darius needs it bad. They all do, but Darius, I was like, boy, talk about daddy issues. His dad is like horrible, and I'm like, daddy issues. Geraldine is the goat. This book, in book 1, Geraldine was kind of just like a cringy little follower, but in book 2, I'm like, no, she's real as fuck. She's a ride or die. She's like, we need to go bury a body in the woods. I'm there, bitch. I loved that. I also got to the point in book 2 where I was like, why would the Celestial Council not just marry off their kids to Tori and Darcy? And I still think that would have been the smartest plan. I mean, of course we learn later that Lionel had other intentions, but like the other 3, what excuses do you guys have? Why would you not want your boys to marry like the 2 most powerful like your line would be so powerful. Idiots. nuts. Orion and Darcy kiss for the first time in book 2. It felt really fast to me. I was like, whoa. You're her professor. You should have a lot more hesitation about this than you do. Okay, book 3 is The Reckoning, I believe. Bitch Boys. This is where I started to include Orion. My least favorite, again, was Seth. And I put he needs to stop fucking whimpering. Like, every time I had to read Seth whimpered, I was like dying inside. My favorite was Orion. I put that I need him, but also he's so petty, and I love how petty he is in this book. He was like so slay. I was scared of Darius in this book because he was angry and he was breaking shit, and I was like, that's concerning. Tori clocked the fuck out of Caleb in this book and was like, you don't get to pretend you like me behind closed doors and then just treat me like shit in front of everyone else. Like, at least Darius is consistent. And I was like, ooh, clock his teeth, bitch. Darius still sucks, and his little bitch fit about the fire in his room, and he's like, oh my god, now I have to get revenge. Like, hey, no, that was the revenge against you attempting to murder her with her worst fear. You fucking asshole. I feel like I'm cussing a lot this video, whatever. The men being mad about the girls getting revenge for their attempted murder made me so mad. This is also where Max and Geraldine start, and like, I'm so obsessed with this plot. Like, I put every single time Geraldine rejects Max, an angel grows its wings. It's so beautiful. Okay, book 4. Bitch boy ranking. My favorite was Max, mostly because of Geraldine, but also because he was a really good friend to Darius regarding Xavier, and he kind of had a lot of moments of vulnerability in this book that I was like, fine. Geraldine's stronger than me too. I would have said yes to him right away. Least favorite, Seth again. Because this is where he's like blackmailing the fuck out of Darcy and Orion, and that's causing a rift between Darcy and Tori, and I just hated him. But this is where my favorite couple in the book starts to emerge. In the story, I mean, in the whole series starts to emerge, and that is Seth and Caleb. I love Seth and Caleb in a way that's concerning, in a way that should be studied. I literally, at certain points of the book, when I wanted to give up, I kept reading because I was like, I need to know what happens between these two little bitches so badly. I love them together. I could have told you the shadow shit from a million miles away. Tori rejects the bond in this book. I was like, thank God, because he's an ass, and now he's gonna have to get his shit together. And he does. This was definitely the kick in the ass that Darius needed in this book. And this is where I put too that Tori and Darius make any other enemies to lovers look like child's play. Book 5. Diego dies. R.I.P. Tori gets put in a bond with Lionel, and I was like, oh. Orion's in prison. Gabriel's having a baby. Congrats to him. Bitch boys, my favorite was Darius, because again, he got his shit rocked and he had to get his shit together with Tori. He was still a stubborn ass, and he was like, we're gonna take the throne, but he was also a sweetheart. So he redeemed himself in this book. It only took 5 fucking books for him to do so, but whatever. My least favorite was Orion, because even though he was like, I'm doing it for love, I'm sacrificing myself for love, I was like, you didn't need to tell the court all of that. Sometimes lying is okay. Like, you got yourself put in prison for no reason. Except, there was kind of a reason, I guess, but whatever. Book 6. Seth and Caleb consumed me entirely by this point. Everyone is finally working together because Lionel has become, like, the main enemy, and it made me so happy, even though this book was utter chaos. The heirs had fully redeemed themselves in my eyes at this point. Even Seth. Seth finally made me love him in this book with, like, the Orion subplot in the snack game. I was like, you're kidding. He's like, yeah, Tori hides her snacks from me, and, like, she wants me to come find them. I'm like, Tori doesn't know this game's happening, buddy. I think Seth's more, like, playful energy came out in this book. You see that he really just is a little boy at heart, and I think that really helped redeem him for me. By this point, I actually had to look up spoilers, because I was like, I just need to know that Tori and Darius catch a fucking break. At this point, they have just been through hell and back. Bitch boys, my favorite was Max. He was just so hot, I don't even care. And he was just such a good friend to so many people. Like, he was taking on all of Tori's emotions about her bond with Lionel. He was just an incredible friend. And he said, bitch, I'm gonna date Geraldine. Even Darius was like hesitant about it because he's like, well, you know, I'll date Tori, but she's gonna have to bend the knee. And Max is like, fuck you, I'm dating Geraldine. And I was like, love him so much. Least favorite was Orion, and I put it's because he has what I like to call whiny baby syndrome. He was such a big whiny baby about, like, Seth trying to make him jealous, about not being with Darcy anymore. He directly put himself in all of these situations. I was like, you're a grown man. You put yourself here, so stop being such a big whiny baby. The whiny baby syndrome was real in this book. Book 7. This is where the series really started to drag for me. It took me so long to finish book 7. It was so long. It was mostly side quests, and again, this is where I kind of had wished I read Ruthless Boys, because Leon becomes a big character in this. Gabriel's obviously a big character. Dante comes in. Darius is fucking dead, so that's, you know, I was so sad about that. But I knew he wouldn't stay dead. His death honestly felt really anticlimactic, and it shouldn't have if he was actually going to stay dead. Seth had me dying laughing in this book. He was so funny. Like, honestly, mostly with Orion, like, Seth was a comedic relief that was necessary in this book, because these last few books are so depressing. Seth and Caleb. Men will do anything but communicate with one another. They will literally get on their knees for one another, but they won't communicate. And Seth and Caleb are the perfect example of that. I was like, y'all are really gonna piss me off. If you know, you know. Everyone getting mad at Gabriel. Everyone getting mad at Gabriel made me so mad. I was like, he's the reason you guys are alive right now. And they're like, thanks for telling us this shit would happen. You wouldn't even be alive if he hadn't told you half the shit that he did. This book was too long, though. It was this book where I was really like, guys, this could have been an email. Okay, 8 and 8.5 tandem. So as I said before, I'm glad I did the tandem, or I would have hated 8.5, or I wouldn't have even read it. I feel like the Darius chapters alone in the novella make it necessary, right? Like, do people skip this? And if they do they know what the hell's going on? I loved the dynamics between Darius and Hale. Book 8 was too fucking long. And introducing another villain in Clydenius, or whatever the hell his name was, it was unnecessary, dude. Especially because he didn't really do anything. He killed all those people wearing Tori and Darcy's faces, but there wasn't really that many consequences of that. It was just another unnecessary stressor. The best part, I think one of, like, top 5 moments in the series for me, Darius being there when Seth and Caleb had sex for the first time in Tori's bed. That alone is some of my favorite reading I've ever done. I was laughing so hard. It was so good. Best part in this series. Okay, bitch boys. Least favorite, Seth and Caleb, because they can't figure their shit out. Favorite, Darius, because I love the way that he talks about Tori in Beyond the Veil. I think it's really beautiful. He finally, like, says that he's going to submit to her. He's Darius Vega now. Like, slay. Book 9. Oh boy, where do I even begin with book 9? Too long. Thought Seth was going to die at one point. I thought Geraldine was going to die at one point. I was refusing to accept both of those deaths. Clearly that didn't happen. The authors said that they were going to kill off a main character. I want to know who it was. Loose ends that I wish were tied up. Remember when they were training with, like, Queen Avalon, or whatever the hell her name is, in that random place that they went to for, like, a few months? She said that only one person will take the throne, and I feel like that was, like, a proclamation. Like, that wasn't even just, like, a theory. They made it seem like, oh, that is what's going to happen, and then they just never addressed it again. Like, I was waiting for the shoe to drop and them to, like, say that Tori or Darcy was going to die or something, and only one of them was going to take the throne, but then that never happened. I also wish, I know that they kind of went through that prophecy about, like, the look out for the man with the smile or whatever. They explained that that was Vard, and they kind of explained that that prophecy was meant for Lionel, but I wish they kind of spelled that out more. I would have liked to see that actually, like, unpacked, like, how that applied to Lionel. Also would have liked to see the other side, like Tori and Darcy and Gabriel and all of them, unpacking how that was for Lionel and not them. And also, is Vard still alive? I think I missed that because he set up, like, a fake person and they kill Vard. Did they kill the real Vard, or is he still out there? I don't know. Let me know. I was happy with how many epilogues there were, because with how much trauma this book put all of us through, when we got epilogue after epilogue after epilogue, I was like, thank God. I need to know that there's a happy ending here, because I'm actually, like, so depressed and upset. Ooh, okay. I loved this series. I already want to read it again. I kind of want to read Ruthless Boys, because, again, I got 2 books in, but I don't feel a strong urge as of now. So I might pick it up later, and also the later books are so long. I'm so unhealthily attached to these characters, it's, like, actually crazy. And I think that's the consequence of this series being as long as it is. This is a great, like, epic fantasy series, and I loved it, and I would recommend it to anyone who will listen to me, to be honest with you. Stay tuned for, again, Throne of Glass reread. That's coming soon. I'm going to read the Shadow and Bone trilogy and the Six of Crows duology. I really want to read The Serpent and the Wings of Night and that whole series. We You've got so many fantasy series that I want to jump into right after finishing this, which is weird. You'd think I'd need a break. I'm just ready to dive back into another fantasy world. I don't know. I'm already so sad that it's over. I don't think I've fully processed it. I will see you guys next time. Stay safe out there, I guess. I don't know. Bye, guys.